Hello friends, in this video I'm going to show you all about the working of a hologram. Before going into that, we all know that physics has numerous inventions and discoveries. Some of the inventions were accidentally discovered, where some were discovered because of needs of the peoples. Holography was discovered by Dennis Gabor accidentally. Mention this, note this point, accidentally. When he was working with his electron microscope, he accidentally discovered the holographic technique. The basic principle involved in holography is interference and diffraction. Interference and diffraction are the two principles mainly involved in holographic technique. There are different types of holographic techniques. Though they are different, the working principle of them is same. As you can see in this diagram, I have explained about the working of a transmission hologram. This is a simple hologram. In this, a laser from a source is passed into the beam splitter. The beam splitter splits the laser beam into two. One is known as a reference beam and the other is known as an object beam. The object beam is passed into the spatial filter, which filters the laser and broadens it. It is allowed to fall on the mirror, which reflects the object beam, and the object beam is allowed to fall on the object. After falling on the object, some of the lasers are reflected, and this reflected laser is captured on the film plate. Okay, and on the other side we can see the reference beam. The reference beam is from the beam splitter is passed into the spatial filter, which broadens the laser, and it is allowed to fall on the other film plate from the other side. Okay, what happens means on the film plate the interference takes place. What happens here is the interference. The object beam and the reference beam interferes each other on the film plate. Since the film plate, it is a black in color, the holographic plate is black in color, it absorbs the interference pattern in this in it. Okay, before that we are using a laser from the same source, because as they are in coherence with each other, the interference will be obtained. We are using a laser because it is less divergent and it is monochromatic. So what happens means when we are passing it to the beam splitter, it won't diverge, and we are reflecting on the mirror, it won't diverge much. It can be controlled to our extent. The divergence won't be that much extent. So we are using a laser. What happens means in the holographic plate, when we are using a helium neon laser, the red laser, a red sort of figure will be absorbed in the holographic plate. For the reconstruction of this image, what we have to do means we have to pass the same sort of a laser. We can use any sort of laser, and it is passed into the beam splitter, then the spatial filter, and it is reflected on the mirror. The reflected from the mirror, it is passed into the holographic plate. We can get a virtual image of the real image. Okay, virtual image of the real image can be obtained when we are using the helium neon laser for the expansion of or reconstruction of the film. We can obtain the image in the red colored one. When we are using any other sort of lasers, the color of the laser will be obtained in the film. Two major points are to be considered while using a hologram. The first one is the holographic plate. It must not be just like a photographic plate. It must be able to obtain a clear image, or it must have the ability to obtain a high resolution image. The other thing is the vibrations of the earth affects the holograms, since the minute observations are absorbed through light. So we have to place the holographic setup in a place where the vibrations are less. Even a walk in our home, or parking a car, will also affect the hologram setup. So we have to consider all these things. And one more thing is the shutter. In some of the holograms, the shutter is used after some exposure of laser. In some of the holograms, they use pulse laser system for this. As I told you all, there are different types of holographic techniques. Here I have in this diagram I have explained about the reflection holographic techniques. It is similar to the transmission holograms, but in this object beam is passed on one side of the film plate, while the reference beam is passed on the other side of the film plate. The reconstruction also varies with the reflection holograms. On the screen you can observe a image of a fox. It is a rainbow hologram in which we can absorb the Vibgap pattern of the hologram. When we are reconstructing the image, we can absorb the Vibgap pattern, not a Vibgap pattern. When we are absorbing the image from one point, it would be in a different color. When we are absorbing the image from other point, it would be on a different color. The perception of the viewer also varies the color of the image. In this you can see the fox was taken at take a photograph of a fox taken at different angles of a holographic image. I think you can see this the other, you can understand this with the other slide. Yeah, here you can understand this. When we are exposing the rainbow holographic plate into the sunlight, you can absorb the Vibgap pattern. When we are seeing the object from the top, we can absorb the red light. When we are seeing the object from the bottom, we can absorb the violet light. So rainbow hologram would be somewhat colorful compared to the other holograms, we can say like that. A major difference between a photographic plate and a holographic plate is that when we are looking at the photographic plate, we can, after the photograph has been taken, we can see the negative image of it, but in a holographic plate we can't see the negative image of it. We can only observe some of the the interference pattern in it, so it's so difficult to even guess what the object is. On the screen you can observe that you can absorb a holographic plate. Holographic plate, it's actually a holographic plate of holographic image of toy van before reconstruction. You can't even guess what is in the holographic plate before reconstruction. It's so difficult to explain a holographic plate through a two-dimensional point of view. You have to see the hologram to experience it, but in this on the screen you can see that it is a holographic image of a photograph taken of a holographic image from two different angles. It's actually a mouse taken at two different angles from the two different places. Lots of people used to confuse some of the things with holograms. Holograms are marvelous things, whereas they used to compare it with some of the cheapest things. Here in this you can see a lenticular printed matter is different, whereas a holographic plate and a holographic image is different. Here in the lenticular plating, you can absorb the image in the different when we are tilting a plate, we can absorb two different images, but it's actually a lenticular printing, which is a simple thing compared to the holograph, so that's a different thing. Some people even used to confuse it with the projector image. The projector image is a different projector. Using a projector we are showing some of the image. No, it is different. It too is a two-dimensional image, whereas a holographic image will be a three-dimensional image. When we are moving ourselves from at different angles, when we are absorbing, means we can absorb different sort of angles of the real image. It's actually a virtual image, but we can absorb the position of the real image. Then one more thing about the hologram is that when we even tilt the holographic plate, we can absorb the different angles of the plate. When we what we absorb during, we can absorb the normal view of the object tilted when we are viewing the holographic image at the tilted position. One more cool feature of the holographic plate is that when we are breaking a holographic plate containing the holographic image, we can absorb the full image of it in each and every piece of the holographic plate. That is, if we are breaking it to n number of times, we can absorb the n number of images from the holographic plate. It's the coolest feature, but one disadvantage is that the image will be somewhat less resolution, which will contain the less resolution even when we are reconstructing. I forgot to mention one point. The interference pattern obtained in the holographic plate will be darker, so we can't obtain the clear image of it. So before reconstructing that interference pattern, before reconstructing that holographic plate, we have to bleach it so that we can obtain the clear image of it. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Click like, click thumbs up when you like this video. Thank you. One more thing I failed to mention: subscribe to my channel if you want some of the some sort of videos like this.